Hello, my name is Terry Jones, and I have been the lucky recipient of some NARA paper from NARA, which I've used before and I actually love. And what I'm going to do is do a sunset with some reflections. So here I frequently use direct nozzle painting when I work, so I'm going to do what I call direct nozzle painting. And I'm throwing some colors on here that to me are sunsetty colors. And then I'm going to let them just flow a bit. I want it to look very sunsetty. I may end up using a straw to just manipulate the colors ever so slightly so that they kind of mix together a little bit. I'm thinking of just the last little light sunset in the sky, and just letting it run how it wants to run and just kind of playing with the different colors. So I really like that so far. And the second thing that I'm going to do is I want to bring it down low enough, so I'm going to bring it down a bit here. I'll manipulate it a little bit with this because I want to put some trees around this area, and I want to then make a reflection in the water because I'm going to have it like it's on the lake. And debating. I might actually put a little hill in there too. I don't know. I think I'll just do the trees. So to do the trees, while it's still ever so slightly wet, I don't want it to be really wet because I don't want it to bloom too much. But I do want to play with some trees. So I'm going to get a brush, and I'm going to make sure it's perfectly clean. Because I don't want a whole lot of extra alcohol in it. And I'm going to use, it's sunsetty, the trees are going to be kind of dark, so I'm going to use a fairly dark color for the trees. I think I'm going to use some meadow here, but I may end up adding some blue in it. So I have some sailboat blue and meadow together. And I'm going to just see what happens if I act as if there's a tree line here. So I also, I think, need to take some of the alcohol out of the ink because I want them to be really rather dark. So here I am working at making it darker. As you can see, I wanted it to be fairly dark. And so the thought is that these are trees that are with the sunset behind them. Putting some darks down here in the bottom. I'm putting some other darks in the trees. So that is the thought of the whole process here. And so I want to put some texture in the trees. I don't want them just to be one color. I could have even put a little bit of I also am trying to get them so I don't have this. I want to have it look like there's natural tops to the trees, not a darker line up there. So here I am again putting, there's more like there's a forest on this hill here, I guess, than real trees. So I'm just kind of putting this down. And I want to carry them really much lower than I had thought, because I also want to do a reflection. So what I want to do is I'm carrying them down here into where I would consider will be the water. So I'm just still carrying some more color, and I might even just put in, where's my tree colors? There's a little bit of Everglades. Might put in a darker tree color right down here, just to kind of give myself some more mucky stuff. So this is a tree line. This is going to be a tree line. Maybe even a mountain, it's hill tree line with some trees in the front and some stuff here up in the mountain in the top. We'll see what it becomes. So here I go, and I want to put a little texture in it. I don't want them to be blobs. So here we have a lot of, in the inner mountains, we have a lot of fir trees. So I'm thinking of fir tree here when I do it. Okay. So now, as you can see, I have this fir tree, and I have a little bit of blue right here on the, so if I made a reflection in the lake, I might have a little bit of blue right here on the bottom. And I have quite a bit of yellow and orange. So here I'm just kind of playing a little bit with the idea of a reflection. And what I want to do is just bring this up just a little bit closer. As you can see, it's a little bit closer. And next I'm going to take this yellow and I'm going to go right through the tree line. And what I'm hoping that this will do is it's going to meet this other color here. And it'll look as if there is a reflection in the lake. So I might want to come up a little bit here and add a little bit more of the yellow in there, see how that's going to work. Reflections aren't perfect, but I got a little bit of the yellow in there. I do have to make sure that I don't end up with too much of a dark line. But I do really like the idea of the reflection kind of showing up here. And as long as it's wet, I pretty much can get away with this. It just has to stay pretty wet, and I have to kind of mingle my colors together so that they don't end up with a dark line. So I'm going to try that. I'm bringing this now back down. Really want the whole thing to fall all the way down again. So what happens if I just put a lot more color here? So I'm going to put a lot more color here. And I'm going to put a bit more of this color down here. And then I'm going to just take this like it's alcohol, and I'm going to come all the way up, and I'm coming all the way down, and I'm just letting it move itself down. And then I'm going to just slowly make it look as if, well, that kind of worked, didn't it? So as I move this around, got a little bit of too much, but then again, there's always places in the water that you have a little bit of stuff happening. I make some S-curves in the water. Actually, I'm really liking that. So what I've done is I've just made a little bit of reflections of the sky in a lake, and I think it looks pretty good. Now the only thing left to do, I think, is I may end up deciding that I need to put a sun somewhere. So what if I just put a little bit of a sun there, and then that's too little, maybe a bigger sun. Okay, so what I'm doing is just putting plain alcohol on there. Or maybe it's a moon, because the sun's already set. Take this down, pull it up. Now, this will clean back to white, so I can just clean this carefully back to white if I want. There I go. Okay, and then I may take just a little bit of that and add some reflection down here in the water, just a little. And then every once in a while, maybe I'll make another, like there's just a little bit of motion in this water. So I could, if I wanted to, go back and grab some of this yellow and see if I can make this work out to be a yellower sun. That might work. Some people put gold dots on it. Kind of like the yellower. And if I do that, I kind of have to extend it a little bit down here because I made it bigger. But there you go. There's a reflections. And when you put the mat on it, here we are. So isn't that a beautiful little painting? I don't remember if I mentioned it, but NARA paper is fabulous. NARA is the one that actually sent me this paper to try, and what I do see is that I can change my mind. So here I thought I had finished the painting, and what I've decided is, you can see me working with a reference photo, and what I've decided is I am going to work by pulling out some of the color I already have in. I'm going to position a sailboat at anchor. So I'll use a variety of tools. First, I'm draw it on. I'm using a Sharpie, which is also alcohol ink. Since this is dried totally, I can just draw on what I want for the sailboat with the Sharpie. And so I'm going to work on drawing on, and then I will slowly pull it off with a variety of tools. I'm going to start with, this is a blending pen, and this will allow me to work back to the white. So I'm carefully working back to the white there, and that blending pen wasn't working very well. So now I've decided, I decided that I thought maybe I should make it a dark boat, but then I changed my mind. So I had a very light, the very front of it I made very light, and then I made it a very dark boat because when I saw the reference photo, it was very dark. But I decided that the reference photo was after sunset, and this is before sunset, so there's still not enough ambient light that I really don't have to make it that really shadowed boat, because I didn't like the really shadowed boat. So here I'm going, okay, so I can change my mind again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the boat lighter. So I'll grab my, whatever that is. I always forget what those are called. I will grab my blending pen, and oh, well, I guess I'm going to grab my Sharpie and make some details in there. But then I grab my blending pen and I clean it. I start cleaning it out. And I always end up with blending pens that don't work. So now I'm going and getting another blending pen. And here I go with a blending pen that will work. So I love these blending pens. They do make really nice straight lines. A lot of times I'll use a Q-tip or something to clean out the spot, but the blending pen has a lot more control. It's basically a alcohol ink pen that's just full of blending solution, so it will allow you to just pull off, and as long as you clean off the tip of it every time. That's why you see me going over and touching the um, paper towel there. So I put this in, and I think then I decide I'm continuing to put it in, and I'm putting that was supposed to be the jib, and then I decided it was too small. It wasn't enough of a weight of the boat to carry the painting. So then I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and so I decided that there are some boats that are called cutter rigged, and they have a staysail, which is where I put the jib. I could use that as a staysail, and then I would put a cutter rig boat in. And so I was able to make my boat much larger, as you can see. And a lot of the cutter rig boats have I forget what it's called. It's like a pole that goes off the front of the boat. And it's a bowsprit. And so what I decided to do is I would also put a bowsprit on this little boat. And here I am putting a little bowsprit on the boat, and then I'm putting the jib on it. So now I have a much bigger shape to hold that area. And I also am correctly rigged. So I think that boat looks much better that size. So now I'm putting the backstay in with a black Sharpie, and it's important that you kind of pay attention. You can see in the pictures of how the boats work. Now I still was trying to get the boat to look a little shadowy, and because you would have some shadow on that side. So I made a kind of a gray color here. And in a moment, I will tell you about what I did for that. So I want to thank NARA Paper, and I want you all to consider joining the Alcohol Ink Art Society. As you see, here I am just finishing off my little details of the boat, and then I'll make my mind up again to do something else. So listen to my something else. Thanks. Okay, so I decided I like my boat at anchor, but I don't like its color. So I am going to paint it a different color. I think we're going to have a red boat at anchor. So I'm going to get a deep red. Let's try a cranberry. And I'm going to paint it so that at least I have a little contrast here. So then I think I'll add another element or two. I find that it just is not popping enough for me. So here, there's just a little bit. Oh yeah, look. See, now the boat's popping. I have a friend that has a red boat. So there we go, a little red boat. And this is the water line, so you're going to see a little reflection. You'll see a little reflection coming down like that. Much better. A red boat at anchor. And then the second thing that I'm going to do is I feel like it really needs just a little bit more of something. So I think I'll put a couple, well, number one, I'm going to anchor it down. So I'm going to put something here, and then I'm going to put a little anchor ball. It's not on an anchor, it's actually on a anchor ball. So we got that there. So it's got a mooring ball. And I'm cleaning that up. How far can I clean it up? I'm going to clean that up. Okay, I'm going to put a few little windows in here. One here, one here. There I go. Much cuter boat. Much cuter boat. And I think that the other thing that I will do is I will put a few little tiny boats sailing near the shore way over here. So here I'm just pulling out a sailboat. So this is a little sailboat. It's not real big. It's just sailing near the shore. I feel like I need a little more balance here. And this is probably the dinghy for these people. They have a sailing dinghy and they're coming back from town. It's my story and I'm going to stick with it. So now we have a lot more happening here. I do want to end up putting a little bit of some dark around the mast here. And let's put some dark under here. And probably just a little tiny bit of shadow toward. Thank you for watching. Thank NARA Papers and thank the Alcohol Ink Arts Society and community.